I have been very openly critical about Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. But I bought the games anyway. I was gonna get Shining Pearl, but I decided to get Brilliant Diamond for a few reasons, which I'll get into. But basically, premise is, this is my thoughts of the game before I have played it. Just based on watching the trailers, watching some gameplay, watching a little bit of it, and I want to compare it to my thoughts after beating it, just to see how they hold up. So basically, the main reason that I detest these games so much is because they are a step backwards from what the Pokemon franchise has been moving towards this entire time. Gen 1 started out everything. Then Gen 2 comes along, we get big games with 2 regions in them, we get color, we get just expansion on the general Pokemon world. The music goes from being just memorable to being good. Well, at least some of the music is good. Other music is the Dragon's Den music, which is not. Then you move on from that into Gen 3. Now we're in a 32-bit console. We have full colors. Everything looks nice. The sound is better. Everything's better. Moving on to Fire Red and Leaf Green. This is less of a step forward for the entire series, but more of a way for them to be like, hey, this is what it used to be. Now look at what we have. Sure, the sound font is really bad, but it's like objectively better, I guess. I hate the sounds, I hate the music in Fire Red and Leaf Green, but yeah, the main point is it's a technical step forward, and now we have like these. We went from routes looking like this to now they look like this, and the regions are bigger and open, and there's color, there's Pokemon, there's music. Now we have double battles. It's a step forward for the series. Moving on to Diamond and Pearl, we have 3D environments. We have stories with legendary Pokemon. We have it's bigger. It's bigger, the routes are bigger, the Pokemon are bigger, the Pokemon are stronger. There's whatever, you get the point. Moving on to Heart Gold, Soul Silver, the sound font is better, again. They have just better looking environments. They're honestly stunning games. Moving on to Gen 5. Now battles aren't slow and boring to watch, and also to play. You have just... I'd say that's the biggest step forward, because there's battle animations. Now we have cinematic cutscenes with 3D models. The soundtrack is one of the best in the series. And moving on to Gen 6, you have full 3D. Everything is 3D now. There's mega evolutions. There's a new type. I forgot to mention that in Gen 2. There was also a new type. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Now the 3D environments actually look good. I don't like how X and Y look, but the colors in ORAS are incredible, and it's an upgrade. The remakes are step forwards not only for the game that they are remaking, but they are remakes that further the direction of the series. Then moving on to also they have movement that isn't solely stuck to a grid. Sure, you had the roller skates in X and Y, but now you can just, you don't have to deal with roller skates. Gen 7, they remove the grid entirely. Everything's so nice now, it's perfect. There's cinematic finishing move cutscenes. Great. Generation 8, we go and now we have full open areas. You can see where the Pokemon games are going. They are naturally progressing to this peak. So, we take Diamond and Pearl, which tried to have these open, beautiful routes, and now we have games with full open 3D environments. The next step forward is obvious, but they decided to take a step backwards instead, which just baffles me. Like, yes, Legends Arceus exists, and I'm excited for it, but just because... I just don't see why these had to be separate things. Why we can't have both. We could... we didn't have to take a step backward just so that we can be like, also, there's this spin-off, because we're taking the main series and bringing that backwards, but we're going forwards in a spin-off instead. I feel like maybe that's not the right thing to do. I just don't like how these games look. It's not just because, oh, I want my precious Sinnoh game, why'd they have to ruin them? No, I don't like Pokemon Diamond that much. It's probably my least favorite Pokemon game. That's why I wanted these remakes to make sweeping changes. That's what I wanted from these so badly. I wanted the battle system to not be slow, which, granted, they probably fixed. I wanted a Pokedex that wasn't terrible, which, granted, they probably fixed, with an asterisk. We'll come back to that. I wanted exploration to not suck. I hated how just bad the routes are in Gen 4. They're way too long with no substance. It's just, you've heard the 7 out of 10 too much water thing, and people are usually like, oh, haha, well, let's meme on that. But no, genuinely, the problem with water routes is you're standing in the middle of nowhere, and all directions on every side of you is just blue. There's no path to guide you. That's what every single route in the Sinnoh region feels like. They feel directionless, there's these obnoxious weather hazards, and I wanted a 3D game so that you could take those long routes that were just nightmares to go through, and now there's a 3D camera, so it actually feels like exploration where you can look over there and be like, ooh, I wonder what that is, instead of, I'm gonna walk to the left and see what happens. Coming back to the asterisk so I don't forget it, the version exclusives, I looked at those. Why is Gliscor version exclusive? I would get it if they made it like him. I understand Honchkrow and Mismagius being version exclusives, because they're both Gen 2 Pokemon that were given evolutions and evolve with the same stone. It makes sense. But Gliscor is exclusive to Brilliant Diamond, and Ursaring is exclusive to Shining Pearl. When Ursaring isn't a new evolution, and Ursaring already had a pseudo-version exclusive in Donphan. They could have taken Gliscor and instead, like, made him version exclusives with, like, Licky Licky. Sure, no one would buy the version Licky Licky's exclusive to, but they're both old Pokemon that were given a new evolution. Why? And also, just why in general? People want to use Gliscor. Why are you... I almost bought Shining Pearl just to change it up. But then I saw that Gliscor was version exclusive, and I'm like, cool, now I can't use Bastiodon. I wanted to use Bastiodon, but I also want to use Gliscor, so I have to pick. And I'm choosing Gliscor because I've had chances to use Bastiodon in the past. You can revive him in other games using other fossils. But I've never had a chance to use a Gliscor before, so I'm taking it, but I wish I didn't have to take that. And also, I wanted to have the legendary birds, not the legendary beasts, but I'm stuck with the birds. I'm stuck with the beasts now. And also, Magmortar is exclusive, which, like, yeah, it makes sense. Him and Electabuzz have always been version exclusives, but so is Vulpix. So 2 fire types are exclusive to Pearl, when the entire argument we've been talking about is, like, there are no fire types in the Sinnoh region, so why are we limiting the options? What is the deal with that? Why? Just why? There's steps forward they could take, but they haven't taken them. My problem is not that these remakes ruin the originals. They ruin the potentials to fix the original. And also the games, I just hate how they look. They look terrible. The NPCs look like babies. Professor Rowan looks like a baby. I can't take any of these characters seriously. They look so dumb. The walking animation just looks weird and stilted, and people are gonna be like, well, I mean, A Link Between Worlds, that is the same art style. I didn't really like that either. But A Link Between Worlds, at least that works for it, because it was a quirky little funny game, you know, it was little babies, like, that works for that. But this Pokemon Diamond and Pearl were trying to be these big, epic games, so why are they tiny and small now? Why does everything have a weird plasticky gloss over it? What is the deal with that? I don't get it. Sure, there are massive improvements, like Pokemon and Following You. That's really cool. I like that a lot. The soundtrack is probably going to be good. Like, I'm excited to hear a version of Floroma Town that doesn't make me want to sand my ears off. There are improvements, These games are going to be fine. I know that they're gonna be fine. But they're gonna be fine in the same way that Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are gonna be fine. It had been a while since we revisited the Kanto region, and we could have changed it up by including, like, anything to make it different. And sure, it's different. You can argue, oh, there's fairy types now, and oh, the catching is different, but, like, it's not enough. The only reason that I bought them is because I can't, not knowing how I truly feel about these games would tear me apart. So I was broken, I broke, and I just need closure. I need closure on how I really feel about these games. And also, I'm so unbelievably depressed that we are going to get Unova remakes in this style. So I just truly hope, I hope beyond all hopes, that somehow, some way, we can not get Unova remakes. I just straight up don't want Unova remakes at all. At all. Moral of the story, TLDR, I hate the originals, and the remakes, from what I have seen of them, do not fix the problems. So, without any further ado, the only thing for me to do is to just accept that they aren't what I wanted, and to see what they are. So, I'm gonna go and see if they finished downloading now. I guess I'll see you in like a month, whenever I finish editing this. I don't know. Pokemon. Whoa. So I have some thoughts. Once again, this is completely unscripted. As you can tell, everything is a mess. But it is currently a little over 1 month after I recorded that first segment. And I have not rewatched it. But I would say, if I'm just going off of memory, yeah, my opinions were pretty much spot on, except for one major thing. That actually, I didn't mind the chibi art style. In fact, I think it was actually the best looking part of the game. The part that looked terrible were the models when you get into battles. Like, their arms, they have no muscles. Like, look at the sailors. This is what the sailors look like. What? They're supposed to be muscular. Why do their arms look like my arms? Nobody has shoulders. Their faces look weird. Just the character models look atrocious. The saturation's weird. I don't like looking at them, and I can't even fully explain why. They're just, at least, I will give them this, the Pokemon in battles, they have very nice saturated sprites. We're no longer dealing with Gen 6 levels of desaturated colors, but you still have that pastel, like, watercolor feel to them. It still feels like Sugimori style in 3D, but with color this time. My problem with the in-battle models is that when you have a Pokemon like Mamoswine, the camera just goes to this just egregious camera angle, and I don't need to see that much of the top of the screen. And in battle, there's like a nice dynamic, like, camera angle. You usually have, like, there's the one guy here and then the one guy over there, and it looks nice. It's mirrored because of the camera, but there's a nice dynamicness to the shot. You have the guy in front and then the guy in back, and they're facing each other. But when the camera goes like that, it looks terrible. And in double battles, the Pokemon are so weirdly spaced out, and I don't know why they did it. Other than that, the battles look great. The particle effects look awesome. The battle backgrounds are easily the best in the entire series. I don't understand why they made some of the choices that they did in terms of just how the battles look. Like, here's a comparison. Just Drifblim in Pokemon Shield, in Sword and Shield, versus Drifblim in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. You can't see the top half of Drifblim at all in battle unless you're facing a big Pokemon, like with Bronzor. Sword and Shield, Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. Why do we need to see all of this? Another thing I don't particularly care for is the character customization. They're like, wow, you can have these cool outfits, but you can't just... There's no individual customizations for each piece of clothing. There's no top, bottom, shoes, hat, jacket. Like, there's none of that. Even if it was just selecting hats, tops, and bottoms, I would be perfectly fine with that, like they did in Pokemon Let's Go. But there isn't. You're just locked to pre-existing things, and I wanted to take my hat off again. Like, initially I didn't want to take my hat off, but after I played with it for a little bit, I'm like, I want to do that again. There's no way to do it. You can't just take your hat off. So that's fun. Like, sure, there's ones where you don't have your hat on, but I specifically want my character to have the same haircut, but with the hat off. It's in the game. Why? And now let's move on to the more broad issues with the game. It's that it's way too faithful, and the stuff that they advertised as being like, whoa, look at this new stuff we're putting in the game. It's pretty much sort of like those scenes in movies that only exist because they want to put them in a trailer. That's sort of how I feel about this game. They hear the most surface level problems. They're like, oh, okay, there's not enough fire types, so let's add a few fire types into the game. But that doesn't solve like all of the problems of like the weird national decks. But like the trainers, the individual trainers in the wild don't use those new Pokemon that you added because they're still stuck with the terrible Diamond and Pearl Pokedex. Flint has his old team, Volkner has his old team, Candace has her old team. Like, some of those I'm fine with because, like, I prefer Lucian's ace being, I prefer Lucian's team in Diamond and Pearl to Platinum because I feel like Bronzong is a better fit for him than Gallade. But still, there's weird things like Bertha having Sudowoodo. Why? It's not even a strong Pokemon. Why is Sudowoodo there? And then there's Aaron, who has Beautifly and Dustox. You're in the Elite Four. Those Pokemon do not even have 400 base stat totals. Like, and like they fixed the what I'm getting at is like they heard, oh, okay, the battles are too slow, so let's just make the battle system faster, which admittedly it is. But they didn't fix the structural problem of there being battle after trainer battle after trainer battle after trainer battle after trainer battle after wild battle. There's just, the encounter rate is so high, and the trainer battles take so long, not because they're hard, but because they just load them up with 4 weak Pokemon. So then you're just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna avoid all of these trainer battles because they don't give me good experience. They're not fun to fight. They take way too long. There's too many of them. And then all of a sudden you're just struck with this random difficulty curve and you're like, why have I been fighting teams consisting of 4 Bronzongs in a row for this entire time when you're just gonna throw, like, Garchomp at me 2 battles later? And another thing about where they just sort of looked at the game, they heard a complaint that people had and they're like, okay, HMs were annoying. Let's just make them not important anymore. You can just use them with your Poketch app, whatever. And that does solve the problem on paper, but now they're just completely useless. Like, there are these parts in certain routes where it'll be like, you can fight this trainer, or you can go around them by using Rock Smash, or Cut, or Rock Climb. And it was just sort of this reward for like, hey, you kept this on your team. You gave up a move slot to deal with Rock Smash until the Elite Four. Good on you. You get to skip this trainer battle now because you decided to use your team slot for that. But now, There's literally no point. Why would I not use cut to go around this trainer? There's nothing stopping me. There's no reward, and there's no purpose to it. There's no point. So why are they there? They didn't think about the implications of changes. They didn't go in depth enough with the changes. They just were like, all right, this is a complaint that people have. We'll fix it in the most basic way possible, and I guess it's good now, and not realize, all right, changing this affects this, and that affects this, so how does this whole thing come together? Not great. It doesn't come together all that great. Also, the trailers just straight up lied, or like were intentionally misleading, because they were like, wow, look at all these battles you can do. Glaceon, Leafeon, look at all these Pokemon that weren't in the Diamond and Pearl decks. Sure, some of the Platinum decks is available via the Underground. I was able to use Mamoswine the second that I got access to the Underground. But I wanted to use Tangrowth, and I couldn't. And that's the main problem I have with the Pokedex. Why limit them? I don't... there's no benefit to not giving people access to Tangrowth. It's not like Tangrowth is particularly broken. Nobody's gonna be like, oh, yo, they gave us access to Yanmega? Whew, these Pokemon games are too easy nowadays. Like, why? What is the point of that? I don't understand it. I just want to use a Tangrowth for once in my life. I have never gotten to use one, and I would like to, please. So instead, I had to get stuck with Budew, and I like Budew, but Budew, I didn't initially want to use it because I've already used Roserade before. So I wanted to use a Tangrowth, a Pokemon that I have not. Yeah, so that's stupid. Also, the Underground. This is a nitpick. I know it is, but it's really annoying with the overworld encounters because all of them just chase you, and it feels like they looked at Sword and Shield and they're like, oh, Pokemon interacting with you in the overworld. People like that in that game. Let's just do it here. But it was because they had personality in Sword and Shield. You would walk up to a Growlithe, and it would just turn its head to you and run up to you and start barking and being like, hey, let's battle. But it wouldn't, like, attack you. It would just run up to you and start barking. You would have Pokemon that would actively run away from you, like Noibat. You would have Pokemon that would zip around and teleport, and there would be Pokemon that you could, like, do a little spin and they'd react to it. And some Pokemon would just straight up charge you, like Sneasel or Tyrogue. That was what gave them personality. But now I'm getting charged by Budew, even though, why would a Budew ever charge and attack me? They wouldn't do that. I'm getting, like, it's just annoying that every single one of them charges and attacks you, and it doesn't have the same personality as certain Pokemon chasing you, other ones just sort of not acknowledging you that much, other ones running up to you and being like, hey, let's battle, but not actively engaging. It just, I don't like it. It's dumb, and I hate it. Also, the secret bases are lame. Apparently you could, like, put down furniture and stuff. I never experimented with that in Diamond and Pearl or Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. But it should still be in the game, because why would I just decorate my house with statues and nothing else? That's dumb. I want a couch, please. What else do I have to say? The experience share. I understand, like, yeah, I know, but it's more balanced this time, and it's not like, yeah, I understand. I ended up at a very good level. Like, my Pokemon were the perfect level to take on the Elite Four, I would say. Maybe a little bit too high, but, like, that's just my own thing. I went out of my way to, like, challenge trainers a little bit. But I have OCD tendencies, and when I want all of my Pokemon to be the same level, but my B-Barrel is one level above everybody else, then that means that I just can't use it anymore because I want every Pokemon to be at the exact same level. I know that's a stupid reason, but I like the control of not having all of my Pokemon level up at the same time. I like the control. And also seeing the experience level of all of them, because I'm like, well, okay, this one has the lowest experience bar, so I'm going to use this one first, which just makes the problem worse. Basically, Game Freak, you're ruining my mental state, and I'm blaming this on you. there should be an option to turn it off. I don't care if you have to, like, enable two-factor authentication and then bend over backwards 12 times. You can only turn it off once every 24 hours, and you need a password or whatever. Just let me do it, because I like being able to, in my most recent playthrough of Ultra Moon, I would just sort of, like, turn the experience share on and off, and, like, whenever I was like, alright, I think this is maybe a bit too much, I need to be a bit stronger now, I would turn it on so I didn't have to grind too much. Which, good. Grinding in Diamond and Pearl, I hated it. It's the worst, and it was so unfun. But, I don't know, I don't mind some amount of grinding. Like, just going into the grass and being like, alright, I'm gonna beat up a few Audino, and boom, now my Pokemon are a bit higher level. Like, yeah, obviously that shouldn't be required, but I enjoy it sometimes. It's, I don't know, just, I hate the experience share. I hate gratuitous amounts of grinding, but a small amount of grinding. Also, when the experience share is guaranteed to turn on, it's harder to level up just one Pokemon to be on the same level as the rest of your team. And they removed experience candies, which was the best thing that Sword and Shield added. Why did you take those away? Speaking of things that Sword and Shield added, single-use TMs. We had the best of both worlds in Sword and Shield. You had a good assortment of moves as TMs that you could use infinitely, but then you had stronger moves, ones that, like, would be more coveted, that you could get as TRs, that you could buy from traders, or you could get them from Dynamax battles. And it was the perfect balance. So why did we go back to having Rock Smash be a TM that breaks? Like, oh, I'm gonna give you Cut, but just know that this Cut TM, you are lucky to have it, so we're only going to have 5 of them, and you just get to divvy those up between all of your Pokemon. Sorry, but, like, we're doing you a favor here. And circling, I probably should have talked about this when I was talking about HMs earlier. I hate how all of the HMs are just like, oh, a wild Bidoof helped you, when, like, there's, as terrible as having 8 TMs was in Gen 8, or Gen 4, I can count. As terrible as having that many HMs was, there was a certain connection to being like, yeah, I'm riding my Weasel. I'm not just riding some random Baybarrel. Yeah, I'm climbing up this mountain on the back of my Torterra, not just some random Bee-Barrel. Even in, like, Gen 7 with the Ride Pokemon, it was like, yeah, this is a special Tauros that I was given by Hala. Yeah, this is this Stoutland that I got because Mallow gave it to me. I wish that each individual HM was assigned a specific Pokemon. So, Cut, you could... They should have brought back Ride Pokemon, is what I'm saying. They should have just had, like, Cut, you ride on the back of a Gallade and it cuts down trees. Rock Smash, I don't know, Lucario or something. Fly, you can still have Staraptor, or... No, Fly should be Drifblim. Pokepark reference. I want to fly on the back of a Drifblim. That'd be so much fun. Defog can be Staraptor. And just spread it out more and have specific Ride Pokemon that you would register. Like, Ride Pokemon was the perfect balance, because Gen 8, it didn't have HM puzzles, which I didn't really like. You basically had substitutes for Surf, and that was it. That was basically the only HM that existed in Gen 8. But Gen 7, you had substitutes for Rock Smash, you had substitutes for the Item Finder, for Fly, for Strength, you had specific things that you had to, like, traverse on. Just bring back the Ride Pokemon, and just let me ride on those instead, because I like that. There's personality to that. It's like, yeah, this is a special Pokemon, not just some random Bee-Barrel. I'm happy that HMs don't take up half of my moves anymore, but they have no reason to exist anymore, so they should have changed the game. That's the main problem with these remakes, is that they were just like, alright, we'll fix all of the surface level problems, but then not address the structural problems, nor the problems that fixing those problems causes. It's just, they didn't care, which I know is very harsh to say. I think that they did a great job aesthetically with certain things and whatever. I'm not upset anymore that they're not these grand, expansive Pokemon games, but just, they're too faithful. they didn't fix problems. They just sort of duct taped solutions onto the things that were funny to talk about, like, oh haha, there's no fire types in this game. Alright, then here you go. You can catch Houndoom at level 5. Whatever, sure, go off, King. But they just didn't care enough to do things like make Rotom accessible at the time that it was in Platinum. They did super infuriating stuff with, you can't get the shiny Pokédex, you can't get the shiny charm until you complete the national Pokédex. Not the regional one, the national Pokédex, which is stupid and garbage, and I hate you. And you cannot access the post-game until you complete the regional Pokédex. Why? Earlier today, I booted up the game, and I was like, alright, I gotta finish this review eventually. I've sat on this for over a month. Let me just explore the post-game and see if I enjoyed it. But I'm missing Pokemon. I'm missing, like, Finneon, Luminion. I'm missing a bunch of other stuff. Luckily, I have the Drifblim and Drifloon, because I waited an entire week after the games were released just so that I could use a Drifblim on my team. Terrible game design, guys. Thanks. But just... I don't know. I think you hopefully understand what I'm saying. I do not enjoy these games. Sure, there are quality of life improvements here and there and whatever. These aren't bad games. They are just tepid remakes of my least favorite Pokemon games. So, I would just rather play Pokemon Platinum, because then at least there's an excuse for why stuff is the way that it is, because it was 2008, instead of remakes that have come out in 2020 for $60. These are not worth $60. Like, just, they're not. I would honestly say that they might not even be worth $40. I would say that these are a good $30. And they still need some improvement. So, yeah, consider that my review of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Basically, my summary is, I am dreading the day when they do this with Pokemon Black and White. Thank you, good night, Tri-State area.
Also, I didn't mention this in the review itself, but the music is pretty okay. Like, some of the remakes of the songs, were interesting in their own ways. I don't hate them. They're pretty interesting. They aren't just, like, soulless remakes like the stuff you see on YouTube, where they just, like, pop a MIDI into a auto-generated, these are basic tool things. Like, they're good songs. And also, they made a version of Floroma Town that I don't hate. So, yeah, the soundtrack is pretty good. I'd say it's about, like, on par with the originals, because some songs I like more, some songs I like less. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, happy birthday.